everybody to another episode of Brothas Podcast. We're on episode 9. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yes, I'm here again with the fellas. You know, we got JC, Big Onk, True, and Spence in the building again.
Yeah, we back.
Plain taking the day off today. You know, he's taking the day off, but we gonna wish the brother well. How y'all fellas doing?
Good, man.
Feeling good, baby. Feeling good.
Nice,
good. No complaints. No complaints.
Everybody had a good weekend and all that.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Always.
I heard that. I see my man Spence over here real eager. You know, he been trying to get to a conversation for the last couple of weeks, so we're gonna go ahead and let him get into that right now. Go ahead.
Nah, man, it's not that serious, but it is that serious.
It's not serious. It is that serious.
You know, we always downplay something that's like really real. You know what I'm saying? You know, like, yeah, man, you know, ain't that bad, man. It's like my mom died, man. Like, what? Ain't that bad? I'm hailing it, brother. I'm hailing it now. So I'm here with you all in beautiful Williamsburg, man. Vacationing with the family, bro. So, you know, we doing the timeshare thing, and got my brother and my sister and their families here, man. So, you know, I'm stowing away in one of the rooms. It's always kind of interesting having a vacation in Williamsburg. Like, so me and my son were having a conference today. It was like, yo, there's Jamestown, a healthy reminder of my family's slavery. Let's celebrate it, baby. You want to go on the ship? No, I don't want to go on that ship, man.
Right.
I've never seen a whole city make millions and billions of dollars off of, you know, just having a history that is very, very conflicting. But I understand it from a history point of view. I get it, man. So no, I just
So you're saying you condone
it? Condone what? Condone what? Going to Williamsburg?
No, profiting off of a corrupt history.
I think being in this country at some point your hands are a little dirty. You know what I'm saying? At some point, you know what I'm saying? You know, we can never guarantee the pureness of anything living here, brother. But it's a nice, man. It's a nice place. I went by the College of William and Mary, which is, I think, William and Mary now, and it's beautiful, man. It's just a beautiful scenic area. Shout out to my brother, man. The other Spence, man.
What's going on?
Yeah,
that's good, bro. Respect.
He's down here with us, man, and it's always interesting, man, because Williamsburg is a beautiful place, but Williamsburg will definitely let you know about where you are and where you're not, because they're a little bit of liberal. They're more. I think they're more progressive in a lot of areas than you think. But it's that age-old type of feel, real brick real brick houses. Everybody has some nice cars down here. You know, you can definitely tell on the other side of the tracks, though, you know, you got the outlets that people shop at, then you got the people that work at the outlets and where they're living. You know? and so it just made me think about, you know, how we spend our money. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't always have the concept of good financial literacy, man. So I think it's a conversation that we don't talk about enough. It's as simple as something like assets and liabilities. You know, do we have that conversation with our children? Do we have that conversation with our nephews and nieces? Do we have that conversation as men, talking about appropriate buying, you know? And so that's just something that's been on my heart. That's what me and my wife do. We do a lot of kind of financial literacy conversations amongst ourselves, amongst our children, speaking about entrepreneurship, and just to other couples and to other adults. So we get a lot of questions asked about financial literacy. I think, True, you're in the same situation where you do a little bit of counseling and consulting within that realm. So I always start with people just talking about assets and liabilities, because that's kind of the basic concept of when you spend your money, what helps to increase its value, which is assets, and when you spend your money, what helps to decrease the value of that, which is considered liability. So I teach my kids, increased value is asset, decreased value is liability. And then that conversation can go a lot longer because we can talk about what is value to people. So I'm not one of these people where I'm going to say, I'm not going to judge you or give you that whole heavy feeling that you shouldn't go out and buy Jordans. That's not me. You understand? Because Jordan holds value to people. You know, some people are like, man, you shouldn't buy these Jordan, and then you in school and ain't got no pencil or pen. You know, That's not going to be me, because people do different things. They have different values. But the conversation is, once you buy that pair of Jordans, what is the value after you purchase for you outside of sentimental or nostalgia? What is that actual ounce, that gold value for it? And is it increasing or decreasing? So if you collect them and you resell them, that could be an asset. And not only that, if you collect them, resell them, and you have a Facebook channel or a YouTube channel in which you're doing reviews, it definitely can be an asset, because now people are going to pour into you to get that feedback. If you purchase them to put them on your feet, to wear out, for people to say, hey, man, you got those new Jordans, and you get nothing else back from them,
Right.
it may not be much of a value outside the intrinsic feeling inside. So what we preach to our kids and to our community is that you want to definitely get into things that are going to increase in value tangibly, but also you can also have that intrinsic love for it. Yeah. So I think most of us would agree, going out purchasing that new Range Rover looks good. I'm probably going to, y'all probably
look that good.
Y'all probably going to ask me for a ride.
Right.
But now we taking your truck, just because of social value of it. But we all of us on this call understand that once you drive it out the lot, it decreases significantly, to the point where even when you take it back the next day, it's already lost at least a fourth of its value, at least.
Yeah, it's used.
It's used. And so that's where we start off, man. And I just wanted to make sure we have in our conversation, as we continue, a piece of that, talking about, what do we do with our resources? How can we increase the value of the resources, and how can we preach for people to continue to support growing our money instead of decreasing it? And so I know with this whole shift in energy in the community, there is a big push for supporting agencies and institutions that support our community. I'm not going to say Black owned. I'm just going to say agencies and institutions that support our own communities. And so that's also part of the conversation. Is that valuable for us? How can we go out to drink Spizzy and get a nice smoothie from one of our homeboys and not go to a tropical smoothie, because we know that those dollars will stay in our community and they get circulated more around the community, and he pours back into the community. And so that's the conversation, man. I just want to start off with that. It can go in any other way that we feel like it. Anybody can tap in, assets versus liability, continue to do the research.
Yeah, I think that's key. And like what you was talking about with the vehicles, I mean, there's certain companies that actually maintain their value a lot longer in certain type of vehicles. But, a lot of time individuals don't, look into that. They buy it, like you said, maybe off an emotional drive and say, oh, I'm going to get this. But then like not understanding that certain pickup trucks, right? Like the value is going to drop, but then it's going to stay at that, it's going to flatline at that level for a while, or, vans, right? Like our family, like we've already kind of talked about that. It adds a lot of value to you because it's cost efficient on, gas, it still allows you to do similar things like an SUV or a pickup truck, but it may not be flashy, so,
right.
We, like that's one of the things that we kind of advocate for. That's going to be one of our next moves. And people are like, what? So then again, you have people thinking about emotional ties to it. So then it's like, oh, you must get like a Lexus van or Mercedes van. And I'm like, what? Like, that makes no sense. Like, why would I need that? So I think it's interesting when you talk about vehicles alone. Like, I know that's one of the topics that we kind of address, because like, what's the true difference between, a Lexus and a Camry? Nothing, except for years, right? Like the Lexus is always, usually 3 to 4 years. Whenever they roll them out, they usually roll out new series every 3 or 4 years. Like whatever the 2000, whatever the 2001 Lexus was,
same company.
That's the 2004 2005 Camry.
Just paying for the name.
Paying for the name. So just trying to get people.
And they only do it really in America. I mean, you go like Japan and stuff. They only use Honda, Toyota, like the Lexus And the Acura and all that stuff, they're this hybrid. This is another name. So the Acura is Honda. The Lexus is Toyota. Infinity is Nissan. They don't have that overseas like that. You know what I mean? Like, we're the only ones over here that they put that on there and put them extra leather and then bells and whistles and be like, yeah, get this Lexus. You just go get the Camry, or use Camry for cheaper. Right. It's the same damn car.
Same thing. You can buy the suit. You can buy the souped up Camry, right?
Right.
You can get the XL Camry,
but the
sunroof, still cheaper.
The heated seats.
Same thing.
And you get it's still cheaper than the base Lexus. But I think that's just it's a mind shift. Like, you just have to be able to understand that and understand also the value in the car. Like, Toyota is a very reliable car. So, like, your resale value for that, right? Like, those once it drops and then it kind of flatline. But people have to understand that you end up buying some of the newer car that don't have that longevity, right? So I think Hyundai is doing a good job, but they don't have the longevity improving. So they're still kind of doing this. Once they kind of start doing that, then that may be a good long-term investment, right?
Right. So when you guys are talking about investments, Spence, I wanted to holler at you about, like, my son is 20. About to be 21. So what kind of conversation are you having with your older son as far as the best investments to look into at their age? I mean, I know we keep talking about cars. You mentioned something about the Jordans.
Right.
And it was funny that you said that, because my son said that, he's getting ready to start doing something where they were doing it before. He's selling back the shoes. They're trading shoes for the money. So we talk about the value. We know every Jordans that's out now, well, a lot of them were retro, because I never had Jordans, but I did see those type of styles. So now he says he's going retro and sell them online and all that stuff. So I was trying to see what have you talked about as far as about investments that he should look into at his age?
Yeah. So the first thing I always talk about is investing in yourself. And I know it sounds like a back to school special, but it's so serious. Because once
it did sound like that too, Spence.
but we miss that piece so much because we don't think of ourselves as a resource. And so invest in yourself. So I would tell my son, like, continue to read books on what is moving in the industries. And for that, you got to be tapped into, like, news. I tap into Bloomberg and I listen to that going to work and going away from work. It can get a little bit dry. It's not the same humor that we have here, but I'm in school. And you don't always get that fun part when you're in school. So that's what I would tell him. I tell my son the same thing. I tell my son to download apps that we have, like Robinhood and Acorn, that'll get you started from the basic standpoint of teaching investing. But once you invest in yourself, the same concept applies. You look for what you are interested in. You look for what you have relativity to. And so if your son likes Jordans, I would tell him to invest in Jordans. I would tell him to invest in shoes. I would tell him to invest in anything that has to do with sneaker cleaning. I would tell him to invest in anything that has to do with stores that support shoes and go from there. Then you also want to kind of check what's trending in those things. So most of the time you get people hooked when you have relativity. I'm not going to tell him to jump to things like pharmaceuticals, because then he has to kind of understand that market and he has to go research that market. Not to say that he should not, but I'm saying when you always start with relativity and investing in yourself. And so in listening and stay tuned to have those ears for, like, hip hop. Like Jay-Z dropped 444, that's about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And he gave a lot of financial literacy, and the backdrop was hip hop. And so,
but he had to do that though.
And investing.
he had to do that though, because early in his career he wasn't giving them jewels. He was telling
I don't know. If you read
Brother Spence, continue to make your point.
Go ahead.
Wait, before you get to that, I would say with Black though, I would say he was still dropping jewels in regards to investing, but it wasn't in this format. Like he made it like almost super clear. It was almost like, this is the answer, right? Like he's telling them what it was. Because if you listen to Reasonable Doubt, right, there's a few tracks on there, like he's saying some stuff, like, or even if we listening to it now, you're like, oh shoot, like that's what he was talking about. Because some of it was kind of, I speak for myself, some of it was kind of over my head when he started talking about like that money concept.
Right, and what you don't do, and so I know we have this going back thing about Jay-Z, but you know, a person's journey and a person's growth is just what it is, you know. And you know, I respect it for that. So what you would have asked me 20 years ago is definitely not what I'm going to tell you now. And I might tell you in a whole different format. And so I tapped into Jordan more. I'm not Jordan. I tapped into, oh Lord. I tapped into Jay-Z.
Stuck him in there again.
Oh, okay. Okay, we see what's on your mind.
Came out.
I tapped into
We're going to get there one day.
You see you looking over his shoulder now.
Yeah, we're going to get there one day.
I tapped into Jay-Z more because I saw and I heard that some of the people that I was listening to in Bloomberg, he was also referencing. And so when you start to see those circles connect, that's when you want to start having your ear, listening even more to what's going on. But going back to Tally, what I would also tell your son is start paying himself. And that's something that we forget to do. And so what I mean by that, of course, he's going to get a paycheck. But, you know, if he gets $1,000 a week, you know, you want to have him, you know, pay himself, you know, $200, $250 to pay himself. I'm not saying to go buy something. I'm not saying to go save and put in a bank account. I mean, actually pay yourself. And then you get to the point of having yourself as a value and a resource in your overall financial literacy plan. That's what I would tell him also. I would tell him to set aside some for saving. I would tell him to set aside some for investing. And if he's going to invest, start to do the research himself. That way he can become his own broker. We're in an age now where we don't have to call a representative of Wall Street and he looks at the ticker and he said, well, you know, I think you might want to invest in this. We're in an age now we got cleaner information. You just got to go off and do it. And so you end up cutting that middleman cost, but you got to be willing to learn. And what I said earlier was we in a capitalist society. If you're not learning about money, then you know you're going to be behind because that's what helps to run this. So as much as we talking about this racial thing, as much as we talk about the health thing, the money thing is something that we need to start coaching our families on and having a conversation about consistently. And so, go ahead.
No, I just wanted just to you know touch bases, you know, just to kind of like piggyback off of what you were saying, Spence. In reference as far as talking, you know, to your family and talking to your kids. Basically, what I've been doing lately with my older ones, especially my oldest son, you know, he's basically starting now to realize and understand how to start paying himself because, you know, he's actually, you know, moved back in with me to actually save money to pay off bills. You know, so now he's starting to invest in himself. So now he's able to put money aside, okay, to invest in what yet? We're not sure yet, but that's the conversation that we've been having. But also definitely to invest in himself as far as, you know, saving wise, so that, you know, when it is time for him to, you know, branch out and going out here on his own, he's going to have something on his own. And he's going to be able to get out here and actually get started on his own. And again, the one thing that me and my wife did when all three of our kids were younger, we kind of like figured out and said that, hey, when it came to school and our kids going off to school and going off to college, we basically stated that, hey, there's too much money out here in the world for our kids to be going to school, to going to college and having to pay. You know, there's some way, some form, some fashion that you know, that we need to instill in our kids and in ourselves, you know, to make sure that they get what they basically can get in order to get out here and get to school and get in school, you know, if not fully free of a full scholarship, at least invest to a point where you're out here doing what you need to do to make sure that when you are out here in college, you know, you're just basically paying a partial scholarship or you're just paying partially coming out of your pocket to whereas now once you've graduated, okay, you really don't have anything really to pay back. You can really start out fresh, and you can really, sit down and kind of like plan out, what exactly do you want to do with your life once you do finally graduate. You don't have to worry about that burden on your back as far as, paying all these loans back and paying this and paying that back, So it was definitely, I just got to give just the big ups because, truth be told, I learned this at a latter age. Not to sit and say that my parents didn't teach me. They taught me some of those things, but I didn't feel like they taught me everything that I needed to know by the time I reached adulthood and by the time I started having a family, so forth and so on. So it was me and my wife that said, hey, you know what? We have to make sure that they're doing what they need to do. So now all three of them are now all of them out of college, all of them, besides one of them, because one, finished grad school, he's paying back, but everybody else is basically debt free. So now when it's time for them to branch out here and to start really investing into what they really, really want to do, they ain't got to worry about, paying all these loans and all that stuff back.
So it sounded like I heard you say group economics. And he did. And so that's what I was going to say with Tally, like have him get familiar with just the terminology, right? Because what Chris just shared that's group economics. I think when most people hear it, they think of it being either associated with friends and buddies, but no, like he's working with his children to be able to save and invest in themselves, i.e. they don't have to pay mortgage or rent or whatever it is. So the funds that they are accumulating, they can redirect that to something that they're interested in, because I think that's like just some of the misinformation that we probably received just growing up. It's like, yeah, man, when I hear kids say it all the time, like when I graduate high school, I'm moving out of my parents' house. And it's like, what? Like you already have nothing. So now you're starting from ground zero, right? But it's like a mindset that has a shift with the kids as well as the parents, understanding that like, no, I'm an asset, right? Because you staying here with me until you get stable and comfortable and being able to do the things that you want to do is good. And then while they're staying there, like you should be having those conversations and making sure that they understand what it is that they're working towards, So,
right. And growing up, man, I was the youngest of three, and I really don't recall my parents having these kind of conversations with me. I didn't know what my dad would make. I knew what he did. I mean, I know he played professional baseball. Then he got into the music business, but ain't like he was telling me, well, this is how you manage your money. This is what you need to do to make investments. And my mother, same thing. I knew what she did, but now as I'm getting older, I see my dad is the one who, writes the bills down and all that stuff, keeps account of everything. He's talking to me now about investments. So like Chris, I got it in the latter part of my life. And now I think what you're talking about, Spence, it's good to have those conversations with your kids, right when they get in high school, because like nephew said, they do talk about moving out and all this stuff, and they don't have any concept of, they don't have a plan. Got to have a strategy,
plan of action.
Things, So I just think, and my dad, like I said, I don't know if they didn't have that conversation with us because they didn't. My dad went to school for, he went to Winston-Salem State for a couple of years before he started playing, baseball. But I don't know if he knew how to tell me to manage my money. I know he was a provider for the family. Like back in the day, the parents are providers for the family. So we don't get a lot of, back in the day, this is how you manage your money. This is the investments you do. When the car comes out of the lot, it devalues more, value goes down like about, a fourth. We didn't get all that. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember sitting down with them having no conversation. But I think it is relevant to do that. I mean, it's very essential for us to have those conversations with our kids,
Yes.
I think part of it is taboo. And like what we've learned, and of course, we started out with in our intimate circle, like family, like it's also an intimate conversation because individuals have to be vulnerable, right? So like when you're talking about, especially like when we're talking about budgeting, because that's another thing I would say, maybe share that with your kids about budgeting and doing like a zero balance budget. But like when you're talking about money, now it's intimate because people associate like emotional ties to it. So if I tell you this or I spent this much, you're gonna judge me. And like once you establish that relationship and let individuals understand, like, look, no, we here to grow, right? Like we're gonna try to, take what you provide and then help you manipulate it to where it's in favor of you. Like once you get them past that, then like you can start seeing growth. But it's just so hard. It's just so hard because then you're requiring individuals to make these uncomfortable adjustments, right? You have people that are aware that sometimes they may be making some poor choices financially, but then when somebody actually has to speak to them on behalf of that, it's like, I don't want to do that. It's like, but if you making, $50,000-$60,000 and you live in $55,000 or $65,000 lifestyle, it's like, that's why you're tight all the time, right? And then it carries over to credit. And I know we just kind of doing a little bit, so I'm trying not to get too excited about it, but like it's so many different layers and levels to it that you just have to make sure that when you're having a conversation, I think that's why it's great to have it with your kids. It's part of our just regular conversation when I'm talking to JR. So like, and again, what we're doing right now is I just emphasize just understanding the terminology. So he knows what savings means, right? Like, you kind of, it's not shrinking the term down, but it's something that's relevant to him. So he understands that. So, cause we're working on, money management. So he knows what saving is. He knows what buying is. He knows what selling is. And we just kind of reiterate that. So even like when we're going through math and stuff, it's like, oh, well, if you have 5 things and then you sell 2, how much do you have left? Or if I give you $10, how much do you want to spend? And, so you try to, we're going to, of course, eventually the conversation is going to grow, but he's only 4 now. So, but if you kind of have those conversations all the time, like, and make it normal, like those things stick. So like with the managing thing and investing. So one of the questions I asked, I didn't do it this week yet. I asked last week, it was like, if you have a pair of black sneakers, right? And we go out and we're shopping, and you see some black sneakers that you like, should you buy them? And he was like, no, because my black shoes already work, and it's just kind of one of those things. Like he understands like where we should probably invest. So I was like, well, if you do want other sneakers, right, would you buy another pair of black ones or you buy a pair of white ones or something like that, just to kind of make it make sense to him. But I think, having just those conversations, like you said, with your son, and he's interested in doing the Jordans and stuff, like you all have the conversation, and even if you're starting it later, like it's going to be a learning process for both of you all, because even when we're doing it, like me and my wife, we're still learning it, right? Like we may not be learning directly from him, but like we have to still keep studying, and things keep changing. So like, I mean, because it's one nugget I shared with her earlier this week about just individuals that have LLCs. I think it was just cool that most people are not aware of it, but like if you have your own business, you can actually pay your kids up to $12,000, right? And it'd be tax free. Yeah. So, but I mean, weren't thinking that's like, yep, he's on payroll, so he worked for me, he worked for her, and, so it's like once you start reading and studying and start, like Spence said, listening to certain outlets that are already discussing this, or what I like to do is I listen to different podcasts and individuals that are sharing, things that I'm interested in or things that we're investing in or looking into, because like I'm already interested in it, and then hearing another perspective from it's like, oh, okay, shoot, I didn't think about this. Oh, I didn't know I should have been doing this, So I think it's just being okay with like not knowing it then, but really interested in learning it later. And I think that's kind of like the approach that we're taking.
Cool.
Good.
Yeah, that's interesting though, man. I mean, just times now, everything is different. I think the kids have access to knowledge, resources now more than what we had back in the day. That's just facts. I mean, we didn't have, we couldn't go on a computer and just go research this stuff, like you can now. So It was good, you know. Yes, good stuff right there. True Blood and Smith.
Yes. Appreciate that.
Definitely needed to talk about that.
Mm-hmm. We need to continue it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. So did y'all hear about you know I'm a Carolina dude, so did y'all hear about my boy?
Why you
What
covering your
y'all
mouth?
think, man?
You don't want to say it?
Where you going? Where you going with this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did y'all hear about Cam? That's all. Did y'all hear? I mean, I know.
Spence
Turned it off.
Do y'all think it's gonna be a good fit? Do you think he's gonna? I mean, what are we thinking? About it at all.
I haven't been watching TV like that to really know. I just know he signed. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see if he healthy.
Knowing what you know about Cam,
If he
okay,
healthy.
Don't be getting all nonchalant with this. Cam.
All right. Y'all keep putting it
Okay.
on Cam. Look at the weapons he got around him. It ain't much there. So it's gonna be a struggle.
And when he took
but he's in New England,
Carolina
right?
to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, New England
He took Carolina to
has
the Super Bowl.
Listen.
He was MVP and didn't have any name weapons then.
Okay, Big Unc. This is what's going on with
He didn't have
Cam.
Steve Smith there when he was
Nah, I don't think.
Nah, Steve Smith.
He not.
Benjamin was balling.
I remember
Benjamin. I don't even think Benjamin was there.
Benjamin came after that, I think.
He came after that.
It was after.
It was no name brand receivers he had. No.
But he did.
House
Tally.
Isn't that a New England thing though? They always don't have like the big name auxiliary.
No, they had Randy Moss. They had Randy Moss that one year.
But that was like that's not a consistent thing.
When they won it,
they didn't win it. They didn't win it that year.
Yeah, because my New York Giants beat them. Ain't that right, Black? Okay, I just wanted to know. Yeah, they were 18-1 that year. You want to be? Yeah, exactly. We upset that. Yeah.
The Giants featuring Eli Manning.
That's it, baby. That's it. That's it. Featuring. But no, Black.
Hall of Famer.
I agree with Black. You know what?
He's throwing jabs out here.
He's funny, so jab. You talking about Cam? You talking about Cam, right? Are we talking about Cam or Eli?
I was still on Eli stuff.
Eli or Cam, man. What you want?
We talking about Cam, right?
Wait, we're talking about Hall of Fame, we're talking about Eli. But we're going to talk about Cam. We're talking about Cam.
Yeah, Eli took a shot in the Hall of Fame. You know,
okay, Cam.
Make sure you get in.
Okay, let's go with Cam. Let's go with Cam.
Right,
if Cam is healthy, if he's healthy, and only if he's healthy, and I also truly feel they need to get him a couple more weapons on the outside. And if that offensive line holds up, I mean, they're going to do something. There's a lot of ifs. But they're gonna, besides Kansas City, the Ravens, and probably the Tennessee Titans. I mean, I can see New England, being that
good.
Nobody.
Are they? Yeah.
They made a little run last year, man. They are.
Man, time out.
I'm asking.
I'm telling you, they're good.
I guess I would know.
They're good.
Who do they have like that?
These defenses.
Henry led the league in rushing for the past couple of years.
Oh, Derrick Henry, he's a beast.
I'm like, they're good. Tannehill is doing his thing. Tannehill, yeah. He's doing. Look, you're doing like that. You look like that. You ain't seen him
like that.
Yeah, he took Mariota out.
He took Mariota's in Oakland now.
Yeah.
Tannehill.
Yes, he's balling now.
Change the way he played, though, man.
He's balling.
Cam got to change the way he play. He can't play like a running back no more, man.
Yeah, he can't get those hits.
Yeah,
he had no choice.
But he's gonna have to. His body is showing is taking that punishment the last 2 years. That's why he's been.
Now listen, any in New England, they ain't gonna have that. You're gonna be sitting in that pocket.
Right. So when he talk about getting hit, when they're getting hit, now Brady, I don't recall getting hit hardly ever. Maybe
because he go down. He go down.
If Cam go down,
he ain't taking no hit.
Especially when he plays
Cam try to run through you
in their pocket because they didn't let Brady get touched.
I mean, you seen Brady run before, like
Cam hold on to that ball
to go down.
Nah, we see what Brady do when that pressure comes.
Yeah, he crumbles up. Crumbles up like a piece of paper.
When that pressure comes, he get down, boy.
He get down, baby, because he knows that's all you got to do.
That was the problem this year and the last year. His offensive line has been terrible, man. So he's been like,
it's been terrible.
So
it's a setup for Cam. Dang,
we gotta wait and see.
They don't have no
he in a good situation. He in a good situation.
No.
It's setup.
Wait.
At least 7 to be.
New England was what? 12-4 last year. Am I correct? I mean, so come on, let's not make it seem like.
But they ain't playing nobody though.
I mean, well, they never play anyone.
They played the Jets twice, Miami twice.
I mean, that
Jacksonville.
Their conference is weak. Their conference is weak. They're gonna win. They're gonna listen with Cam leading. If Cam is healthy, I still think they're going to win their conference. Just their conference. I'm sorry. The division. The division.
Buffalo.
Division.
Man. Buffalo ain't
division.
no sleeper. Buffalo ain't no sleeper.
Hey, Chris can't agree to that.
Can't agree to what?
With Buffalo.
Why?
You get any shade if you give any Buffalo props?
Man, he from upstate.
Right.
He can get Buffalo some
You can't give Buffalo no props.
No, I can't get Buffalo.
Look, you saw he thought about it. He's like, no, when I go back home, if I say this, they go.
No, I can't do that. Can't do that, man.
He said they get better though.
And they trying to, man. The quarterback is I mean, they all right. I mean, they got some weapons. They all right, man.
They gave New England everything they wanted last year.
And what happened?
The quarterback, he get the quarterback another year, man.
Another year.
This is his second year. This is second year.
Okay, but we're talking about Cam. Cam is a veteran. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Once he knows that system, he's gonna lead them.
But that's not a guarantee he's gonna know that system.
But nothing's guaranteed. What's guaranteed though, Will? What's guaranteed? There's nothing guaranteed in life.
What I'm saying, y'all keep talking like Cam is gonna come back and be like this beast. Like he's been a beast the last 2 years. He hasn't. He's been hurt.
He was injured.
He's been struggled. Is he healthy now? Do we know that?
We don't know. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. But Chris keeps talking about, Cam will get in there like
if he's healthy. I said if he's healthy. I started off by saying if he's healthy.
New England, where everybody had worries about New England and their weapons as is anyway. Like their offense was terrible this year.
Man, they got two good young running backs, and they got
they don't.
Receiver.
They were good a year ago. They didn't do nothing last year. That was their whole thing. Man, they was winning games 10-7. Their defense was crazy last year. And they played the most worst quarterbacks ever. They played Ryan Fitzpatrick 2 times a year. Whoever the Jets had a quarterback last year 2 times a year. Remember that was the whole thing they were saying. Like, look at the quarterbacks they had to play last year. They didn't have to play no good quarterbacks last year.
So with that being
and when
said,
they did, they got
why don't
smacked.
you think he would do good then? If
that's what I'm saying. I'm not.
Change.
I don't think it's gonna be anything about Cam's ability. I just gonna be about what's around him.
He giving him no credit.
No props.
And
but y'all be giving Brady all these props when he was in the same system in the same division and conference.
Brady struggled last year too. People say like, "Yo, he ain't got nothing to throw to." That's why they signed Antonio Brown after all that mess, and then they had to get rid of him
New England did good considering that they didn't have anything.
Because of the defense. That was like the Ravens defense over there. That year the Ravens went to the Super Bowl. Nobody was sitting there saying, oh, their offense was killer. No, that defense won them half them games, man.
But honestly,
and when they went up
against
the team,
any big name weapons on offense though? Like it was always like just
but that's your fault because me and Chris has always said, ain't Brady. It was always about the defense. New England always had the best defense and scheme for that team.
Belichick.
Everybody would give Brady. I would never give Brady that credit because Brady was never a superstar in the Super Bowl.
No,
he was a game manager at all those Super Bowls, and that's
let the Bostonians.
That's okay. Let him hear it.
I'm gonna give him one game
and clear.
When they beat Atlanta's ass, I don't.
Yeah,
I'll give him that. But was that
they beat
him being a superstar
in the Super Bowl?
Was that being a superstar? Was that Matt Ryan
choking
up like he do? Or the coach, like we saw the coach in the last Super Bowl, same coach,
Brady,
the offensive coordinator over there.
That was the goat.
Was it like a shootout?
That was the GOAT.
It was a shootout, true. I mean, I think Atlanta was up by about
like 30 points at
20 or 30 something points at half or second quarter, third quarter.
And
Brady and them just drove him back, and they won that thing in the end.
Yeah, they had a beast running game.
It was crazy.
And they stopped running the ball, passing the ball.
Atlanta should have won that game. That game should have been over.
Yeah. So, let's be for real. Brady, he's going to get the accolades because he got all the chips, whatever, because that's what quarterbacks do. But,
So what are we saying about Brady if he does go down to Tampa and have success?
He should. Look at what he got around him.
So then what you're saying is Brady. It's not Belichick.
What do you mean?
What do I mean?
He's going on and playing with Mike Evans. What's the other boy that's
Mike
over there?
Evans?
Gronk. They got Gronk.
Oh yeah, Gronk went over there.
Mm-hmm.
They got running game. They got their weapons is crazy. They got 3 or 4 receivers. They got
good. They got the solid defense too.
Solid defense. All he has to do is go over there and just manage the game, like not throw 30 interceptions like Winston did.
Nah, he's only
So
not.
he
He
got-
won't do that.
So
Even Winston still threw 30 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got
30
the
for-
weapons out there.
30 for 30.
30 for
30
30. 30
You know,
for
30
30.
for 30, baby. You know what I'm saying?
So
Like, oh, yeah.
was he throwing interception because the line was bad? Because if that's the case, then
Nah,
Brady.
man.
Nah,
I literally watched the game when the first half he threw 3 touchdowns, looked great, and then the second half came out threw 4 interceptions and they looked bad. He was just like he was closing his eyes and throwing the ball, bro. I know that's your man's.
No, that's not
but
my dude.
you know what I'm saying?
He's a no.
Like we gotta call
I
it what
don't
it
do the
is,
nose.
man.
I don't do the nose.
We gotta call it what it is, man.
Dang.
Not even Deion Sanders.
Yeah, no, I give Deion the respect. I
Oh,
still
okay,
don't
I'm
give
good.
state. No, state
Okay.
don't get none of that from me.
Not Peter Ward. None of
Yeah,
them.
Peter. Listen, even now, and I be telling me like I be rooting for the guys. I'm like, yeah, I bangs with them, but I hope Florida State lose every game. And like, shoot, when they had Taggart, I wanted him to do well. Like, but it was just a few games that he had to lose, and they lost him. But it sucked. But look, now he at FAU, can't game. Yes, sir.
Nah, but I'm happy Cam landed somewhere, man.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was worried that this is gonna be it for him. I mean, it
Yeah.
still could be it if you don't perform, but
He's
Right.
31. Give him a chance. 31.
Is the injury to like his
Vince
arm?
Young was rookie of the year, and 3 years later was out the league.
Well, with
Vince Young
Vince
got
and Cam in the
blackballed.
same.
That's what I'm saying.
Yo,
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why I
I
thought it
can't
was gonna be over
stand
for your
Fisher.
boy. That's why I thought it was gonna be over for your boy.
Oh,
You
they were.
seen him,
I thought you said they
RG3
weren't
went,
blackballing.
huh? No, what I'm saying
RG3.
is RG3, rookie of the year. Now he's back.
No,
up.
they messed him up. Washington messed him up, bro, because they forced him to play or whatever, while he was hurt.
Did they force him to play? Was that
Well, maybe he chose to play. I don't know.
Wait, no, I thought he just came back too soon. Like he got injured and he came back too soon because that's
the
when
story
they had.
there is they try to change his game. They try to change the way he played. Like, yo, you gotta stop running so much. They got hurt, and he was like, nah, I could do it. I'm young. So
Yeah,
even though I don't think that should still hinder him. Like he should still be able to start somewhere. Like he only 20.
So he's not even in the league, right?
I think he's the backup for the Ravens, right?
Oh, that's right. He is. He's the backup of the Ravens. You're right. No, he's not.
I didn't see all these goddamn.
But no, he played a little bit. He played a little bit last year. He played a little bit last year.
Yeah, but you gotta look at the league now. I mean, you got all these black starting quarterbacks in the league, and they're your top quarterbacks now.
Yep.
It's changing.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson,
the whole thing is changing.
Patrick Mahomes,
Russell
Wilson, Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
He was I ain't coming back.
He was MVP. Hey, I'm telling you, they got a whole bunch. It was back-to-back years. It was 2 black quarterbacks that were MVP.
Oh,
Lamar Jackson.
League?
Yeah, Lamar Jackson and
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes just won Super Bowl.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Come on back. Come on.
Nah.
I see it in your face. I see it in your face, True Blood. Come on
I'm
back,
excited
baby.
to hear that. That's
Come
like
on
good to hear. Like, all right, boom, these guys getting a chance. I'm straight though.
They becoming the face of the league.
Y'all talk about it enough. Like I know enough. That's all I need to know.
Nah, you saw that little Glimmer. He's like, oh, for real?
Exactly. He did.
Yeah,
I saw that.
That's what I ain't gonna front. I'm
gonna give you one more season. I'm gonna give you one more season, man. That's all.
Okay. You know me better than that. Just black quarterbacks.
Black
Now,
quarterbacks,
see,
man.
Next, we got to get black middle linebackers and black centers. When they get, man, that's it. Right. Tally gonna say, because the black, middle linebacker is the quarterback of defense.
Yeah, you got a bunch of them.
You got a bunch of them.
For years.
Outside linebackers and middle linebackers.
Middle, Mike Singletary, black man. Ray Lewis, black man.
So listen, no, don't give me. See, listen, you almost sound like when they say, well, you had a black president, like name. So when you say those guys, and then during that era, how many other black middle linebackers? I didn't say that the great middle linebackers weren't black.
Are you talking about right now, currently?
Well, just then, or even when he named all those guys, like when you said Ray Lewis, like
what was the 2 dudes from
What's the brother's name?
49ers, the one that just retired.
49ers, yeah. I can't think of his name.
2 of them. They had DeVal Bowman from PG County.
Yeah.
And dang, what's the Willis? Patrick
What's
Willis?
your brother? Yeah, Willis. What's your brother's name from the Chicago Bears? He plays outside and middle and inside linebacker.
Khalil Mack.
And Mack, yeah,
Oh,
Mr. Mack.
Well, I don't really know what he's doing now, but
What about our boy
is
from
an
the Giants?
interchangeable guy because Mack could play DN and outside and inside.
Versatile.
He's a new version of Lawrence Taylor.
But I'm saying, but he's not like the traditional middle linebacker. So all I'm saying, and again, I ain't know about the black quarterbacks. Maybe it's a new wave of that. But I'm saying like that's another position that traditionally they don't give black athletes the opportunity to play that position because you are required to do a lot of thinking. It's like, well, they can't think that fast. Like that.
You're absolutely right, True, because look at the Dallas Cowboys.
What happened?
I've never seen
a black linebacker?
No, they have a white one, yeah. I've never seen a black one with the Cowboys.
Yeah. So.
Hey, y'all was talking about finance. The Figures phone. Did I tell you? Did I get my thing about the research I did on them? Because y'all had me hyped. Y'all had me hyped. I was like, let me go check them out.
So we're not gonna bash.
I'm not bashing. I'm just saying though. Just don't.
What'd you discover?
All right. So if you want to like get a phone, it depends on what you want to use your phone for. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just want to use it for basic use. Like yeah, it's a good phone. But also, you gotta be careful and especially in that community, you gotta be careful how you present a product. Let's put it like that. Whether you black, white, Chinese, whatever, like you gotta be careful in how you present a product, and you gotta make sure everything is accurate in what you're saying. That's all.
Oh, so they have consistencies.
You can't falsify the information. That's what you're saying.
Right. You can't sell me something for a price where I can go get the exact phone that you have copied. Well, not even copied because it's a rebrand. But I ain't tripping out that. Everything's a rebrand. Title's a rebrand of a different company. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but that same phone that you rebranded, you can go get it for $100 on Amazon, but you sell it to me for $500, and then putting specs on it that's not there. So you know what I mean? Like I looked into it. I checked into it. I'm a tech dude. So I was like, I started looking on the website. Like they're kind of vague with what they.
But ain't that what Nike does, right? Like especially when we talk about running shoes, like they running shoes is trash.
Yeah,
trash.
But see,
I don't run in none of them.
But you could be trash because you got the name. You know what I'm saying? You done built your legacy up.
He's on top.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to sell the brand.
But Nike started out. When Nike started out, they didn't come with they had to come legit. Jordan didn't want to sign say sign with Jordan. They made sure that, all right, we got this dude. We're gonna make sure these sneakers is legit. People want them. Put a name out there. So now they do like Tally said, they just rebrand the sneakers from back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Just rebrand them now, put a different color on them, whatever, and sell them. Same shoe. You know
but they found their lane because them running shoes that they had back then. Y'all remember the bubblegum Nikes? Them things was trash. That's why they could never get ahead of nobody. They was in the wrong venue. They found basketball. Oh, y'all don't remember the bubblegum Nikes? At least maybe that's what we called them back home.
Yes, yeah.
Those joints.
My pops used to buy me nothing but Converse back in the day, man.
Converses, baby, back in the day. With no soles.
Right.
Feet hurting for days, bro.
Yes. My mama took me to Payless shoes, so I don't know about none of that y'all was talking about.
I was there too. Yeah,
all there.
Shoot. What about the Go ahead.
Nah, I was about to say, it won't until I became an adult, I realized they made some pretty decent money, because I thought we were poor as hell.
Right. I tell you back, I used to have a pair of Keem Olajuwon joints. Selling them joints is fresh, though.
Yep, the Olajuwons is there.
They're like $30, bro.
Yep, shoot. But what about the BK British Knights? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, that used to be what? I used to think I was the ish.
You kind of a little older than us. That's around me and True Bloods.
Yeah, I don't remember those.
Them diamond sale joints, man.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the LA gear. You remember the LA gear?
LA gear.
Yeah, to pump them joints up. What?
Yep.
Oh, Lord.
Oh,
Tyler, you remember the Reebok? Yeah, it was a Reebok,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
Tyler, you remember the Patrick Ewings?
Ewings,
yes.
They still make them.
I was about to say they still make them with the name on the back.
Yeah, I got me.
Wow.
Yeah.
With the Knicks colors.
Yeah, they still straight. Yep. They still tough.
Yep. What about? And I bet any of y'all ever had some of the Shaqs Shaquille O'Neal.
Nah, I ain't
I
had
don't think I had it. I never had it.
And y'all ain't
Nah, I
want to
didn't
give him no love for the dunks. I ain't had no dunks either. I ain't had no dunks.
But matter of fact, he sell his stuff in Payless now too.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
Well,
It's like-
Payless don't exist no more, but
Or whatever. Yeah, what happened to Payless? I don't even.
what? You know
I
what
did
happened
have
there.
a pair of those weapons, the Converse weapons. And guess you know they had different flavors of them.
Yeah.
Guess the ones I got.
Which one?
The birds.
Oh.
The green. Oh my God, them things felt so comfortable, dog. I was a shooter, man, so you know, I gave that.
So you had to get the birds.
Yeah, man. I went to AAU practice and lit them up. I got my birds on.
So he said it's the shoes. It's the shoes.
Spike Lee. It's the shoes. Oh shoot.
They had Bernard King. They had
Oh yeah.
Don't get Chris excited.
Yeah.
But I had got them birds. Them birds are dark green, man. Things cold. I remember
Birds. Dang, that's crazy.
I know y'all remember the Pumas.
Oh,
I know you
yeah.
remember the Pumas, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, I still got some Pumas now. They made a comeback.
Shoot, JR so big into animals now. I had on some Puma shorts. He's like, ooh. And they were black. It's like, oh, Black Panther shorts. I was like, no, man, these Pumas. But I said, he's like, I want those. I want some. He's like, I want the Panther. He's like, all right. Because he's big into Panthers and Cougars and mountain lions, like all of those. So he's like, I want those. It's like, all right, man. But yeah, Pumas is.
They got good
But I
running
think-
shoes.
Didn't what was that about Walt Frazier? Tally?
Man, y'all going way back.
Yeah, I mean, Frazier had the Pumas. Didn't he sponsor?
Man,
Walt Frazier has some
tap
shoes.
that on that.
I thought he did back in the day. Yeah.
You got to get somebody to lie, Chris.
If I could be wrong, I could be wrong.
Chris had the exclusives.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris was a kid that everybody was envious of.
Frazier was man. I had them all, baby. Had them
Chris had
all.
all the shoes. They was like, man, his old light skin, but coming in here with these Frazier. He had one of ones.
You know you ain't had no Walt Frazier shoes.
And said, Walt Frazier. God, dog. I thought I was
Walt Frazier, baby.
Bird. He said Walt Frazier.
Oh, but hey, who was the?
I never saw him play, man.
Hey, Spence, that must have been Spence. That was my older cousin, man. My bad.
He just put Frazier on the back for you.
Oh my goodness.
Air walk.
He had the Bill Russells on back in the day. You know what I'm
Went to
saying?
the swap
I ain't done no Bill Russells.
The straight Bill Russells.
Oh my goodness.
That's crazy.
Since we on basketball, y'all ready for the season, man? I still say they should cancel it, but that's just me.
I think it's only two people that's probably excited for the season.
Nah, I'm about like with you now, Will. Willie Black. Hey man, I don't even think like with the number of people that may not be playing.
Yeah,
I think they also should cancel or maybe do some sort of like exhibition thing if they really want to play.
Exhibition.
Hey, look at Tally face. Tally like, I can't believe you betrayed me.
Exhibition.
No,
if they're gonna be out there, if they're gonna play, you
They
might
should just
let
let
them
them
just
big three.
play.
How really important is a basketball game?
I mean, it's not really important, but I mean, if they're gonna play, it's gotta count. It's gotta count.
Spence said it earlier. Despite this movement thing, despite this health thing, the biggest thing is the almighty dollar. It's a money thing. And the contracts are involved. People got to get paid. And they knew that certain people were going to be tested positive. They didn't go in saying nobody's going to be tested. So y'all still naming the irrelevant players that say they're not going to.
I was waiting for it.
Hey, Black, there you go, Black. There you go, Black.
Stop it.
There you go.
The New Jersey Nets, who already wasn't going to play Kyrie and Durant, they said they don't care. They're still going to go and compete. Now, I think they had the most recent, like 4 people that said they're not going to go. The Nets, so what? Right now, they're not relevant. Now, I guarantee you,
Here's the thing.
the only way an eyebrow would be raised for the managers and consideration for that is let LeBron,
Giannis,
Kawhi Leonard, Steph, Golden State not going, right? They didn't make it, right? Okay.
They like the.
Yeah, they like whatever.
Shout out to all the Golden State fans that we don't hear about no more.
Right.
Yeah, Chris.
Right.
Chris.
You said Chris?
Yeah,
Chris, you had a
Chris
jersey?
is on that bandwagon.
Here we go. Here we go. Hey, we got. Hey. Okay, since y'all gonna put me on that bandwagon, we have enough Marines to take a chill pill this year. Watch everybody else. How about that?
Cool.
Next subject. Huh? Y'all talking about Golden State? They ain't gotta be there.
Look, man.
Wow.
Look, man. You gotta look at the Nets, man. Look at this situation. There's too many players on that team that's tested positive for this thing. So that already tells you there's something going on in that area or
With
that
the organization.
Team. KD had it.
I mean, but New York was the epicenter.
Exactly.
You're
not
right.
You can't go through New York or New Jersey right now. With,
right,
you know, with
but Florida's the epicenter now. That's my whole reason. Is like, I mean, we didn't know that was it. But like that's even more reason why they definitely shouldn't be doing it. Like it's crazy. Like and I know I have a bias because I'm always talking to family back home. But like it is crazy there, and people still not even listen. Like they done the shutdown again. They supposed to be quarantined and everything, and people still like moving like it's nothing. They're not wearing masks. Like even like I'm sure y'all seen some of the crazy posts. Like even like trying that stuff. Like even going to the grocery store. So like my folks was like, yo, like we just not going nowhere because. It's like people just getting real reckless.
Yeah. So when they shut the beaches down and stuff, right?
But that's the thing. They shut everything down, but people still going to the beaches, and it's so many people. Like, what can you do?
Right.
It's like thousands of people at the beach, and they like screw it. Like I'm here. I'm like this is
drop a big biodome over top of their heads. Like this way
y'all
want to be.
Don't they have like a black mayor in Tallahassee? You know what's?
No, you're talking about Andrew Gillum.
Yeah, Gillum.
Yeah, he ran for governor. No, he didn't win it though.
Yeah, he didn't win.
So I mean, I'm sure he's still doing something in politics. I just don't know what it's
No, man.
He didn't get caught in the hotel room. I mean, we gonna tell the news. Let's tell the news. I mean,
I wasn't talking about I was talking about what he ran for. He ran for governor, and I left it at that.
Who did he get caught in there with?
You left that pause in there for me to jump in there. You know I ain't gonna let nothing slide.
No.
Boy, I tell
you. Since you brought it up, you get to talk about it because I'm not gonna pour no salt on the open wound.
On this one.
He said on this one.
Y'all kill me all day long when they're talking about LeBron and all the other stuff.
but what do I say bad about LeBron? Everything that I say is on the court, and I don't say bad, and I don't say a bad player. I just don't think he is better than a lot of other guys that are in the league.
Ooh.
Man, hold on. How we pivot to this?
He pulled me into that one.
How we pivot to this?
He did. And he going incognito with this one too. But yeah. I wouldn't go back my tongue on that one. So yeah, no. And I big up him off the court all the time. And
just off the court though.
I think we all do. I think we all do.
Like I'm in
the dude was in the hotel with some drugs and a dude.
There you go.
And y'all always talk about me talking about some like, yo, come on.
Oh my God.
But that was a bad look. That was a bad look though.
Yeah, that was.
Wasn't the white foot or something?
She was what?
No, they said so. See, y'all done got me about to respond.
Go ahead.
So no, they said that
inform me.
They were down there celebrating. Somebody had a wedding, and after the wedding, like they went to the room, and of course there's allegations. He didn't know what they had in the room, and some people were like, oh, no, he knew what room he was going to, and yeah, like they got caught, and there was some drugs and a male in the room.
White male, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know that.
He can come back from that, man. Marion Barry came back from worse than that.
He ain't Marion Barry.
He ain't. He look like us.
This ain't DC.
Right. He is a black male.
Yeah, I mean, the brother was probably having fun, probably doing what he do, and ain't no judgment on that. I'm just saying that when we decide to put ourselves out there, we just have to have a little bit more responsibility and foresight on what's in our energy level and what we're putting ourselves around. I got love for the brother, you know. We all, none of us are perfect. But I just, you know, we got to talk about it though. You know, we got to keep it real. That's all.
Yeah, you just got to keep his team tight like LeBron do. You know what I mean? Don't let none of that get out.
And see, that's what I was about to say. His circle wasn't that tight then. Because clearly, I don't know how that get in.
Tight, that's all.
Like
LeBron does.
Exactly.
Thank you. I agree. Like LeBron does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his campus.
You ain't gonna tell me dude come straight out of high school. Nigga, wilding out early.
You know he was, man. Come on,
you know he was. That's what I'm saying. He just got.
I'm ready for his book. I'm ready for his book.
No, that ain't gonna be in his book. That hush money was good.
It was.
About what?
His book, Spence.
That's what's wrong with y'all. Y'all always tearing a black man down.
Oh, that's why I was confused that you even brought that up with the Gillum. And oh man, you just dirty, bro.
That's what's wrong with y'all. Let me turn the camera on so you can see my face.
Right. That's why when you said it, and that's why I paused. I was like, Spence said that? I was waiting. It was like, Blackwell gonna be with the shenanigans, and he ain't saying this.
I left him alone.
But you did it, True Blood. You like softballed it up there. It was like,
no, I literally said, no, he ran for governor and he lost.
And then you said what after that? You said something like, I said,
I don't know what position he's holding now, but I'm sure he's still in politics.
Okay.
Yeah, that ain't had nothing to do with no hotel room.
So you all really went off on a tangent from what I originally said, nephew. I said that they interviewed a mayor that was black in one of those cities.
Yeah, you said Tallahassee.
Yeah, you said
it could have been Pensacola, wherever they had those beaches at, because they interviewed him in reference to the large amount of crowds that were still at the beaches and during the heightening of the pandemic. That's before that's before Florida had that part had closed down. Mm-hmm. And I want to say it was either in Tallahassee or Pensacola or something like that. It was the mayor. Mm-hmm. The interviewer was black. And I didn't know if you knew him or not, but I was basically saying it was making him look bad because, you know, he put an order in for them to have social distancing, close down certain things. Even yet, you see all these, they showed all of us congregating in the streets. They had something going on, and they was all out in the streets. They were partying, they were close in there, they had no mask on. Yeah. And they interviewed the brother who's the mayor. That's why I said the mayor, you went on and said something about the governor, and then Spence started throwing shade at the governor who ran for governor. I'm sitting there like, God, no.
My bad. I'll take blame for that one.
He did,
but he said Tallahassee out there,
man.
It's True Blood.
True Blood got to start.
Take this. Look, I still got to play catch up with Blackwell. So my bad. Well, episode 1 and 2, bro. You took so many dang on shots. So look, I'm gonna get on the front line with you this time, bro.
Shots fired.
I am my brother's keeper.
Shout out, man. We got number love for all the brothers, man. Andrew Gillum and LeBron. You know.
What about Terry Crews? You got love for Terry Crews?
For sure, I got love for Terry Crews.
That's a big nigga, yo. I sure got love. Like, I love you, brother.
There ain't no big dude.
Oh Lord have mercy.
That's Spence experience saying email him.
Hey, yo, this night to me. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight.
You said you don't know what's wrong with you?
Yeah, man. I just taking shots again. No, shout out to
this vacay Spence over here. Why?
You said he was taking shots.
Huh? Whoa.
That's what you just said.
I said shout out to Terry Crews. Oh. I've been a fan since American Gladiator, so don't even try it. Y'all remember?
That's Spence saying that. I'm not shouting out no Terry.
Y'all don't remember he was on American Gladiator?
I don't, but that show was
dope. But it makes sense.
The show makes sense. I'm not gonna entertain where Blackwell going. I don't even know where you're going. But
they had a bunch of ex-football players and wrestlers stuff on it.
Okay.
He trying to get an acting game.
So you saying he's not a good actor?
Nah.
What you saying?
You think he is?
For his roles. Yeah, for his roles, I think so.
He played the same role, right?
That don't mean that he's not good. He just don't have variety.
Like 6'4", 290. What else role he gonna play?
No, he could possibly switch it up, but I mean he's been pigeonholed now. Like that's all right. That's all he does. So I'm saying, but for that, like, because think about it, The Rock, same thing.
Plays the same role, yeah.
No, he don't.
No,
he doesn't.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
And even though I'm not a Rock fan,
what role does he not play? Some very, very masculine, aggressive, motivational guy.
What was that? What was
the longest yard
when he played the gay? When he played the gay dude.
Role.
Oh yeah. What's the little Tinkerbell joint that he did?
Yeah. He
like
played all type of different type of stuff.
No. He still was an athlete in that movie.
The Tinkerbell joint, whatever.
The Tooth Fairy.
Yeah, Tooth Fairy. That's what it was.
What's the one he played him with John Travolta and all them? What was it? Get Shorty, Get Low, Get something.
He was a hitman, right? And Get Shorty.
He was a gay, a feminine hitman. He was not a tough dude in that.
He still was killing people. Like,
no, he wasn't. It was the white boy. Watch the movie again. He was feminine and funny. He was doing comedy.
I was about to say, what's the Jumanji? That's it. That's the other one I was thinking about.
Jumanji.
Right?
He was super aggressive, really strong, punching people through walls.
No,
man, you typecasting his brother, man.
Right.
You typecasting his brother.
He
showed more range.
His narrative in that movie was supposed to be comedy, humor, which it was, right?
Okay.
Because he can't not have his own body, so like they spent it, and he ended up being like supposed to be the frail, insecure dude.
Which is the point that I was making about Terry Crews. Like his image has to put him in a certain position.
Man,
like this big.
But I'm talking about
you not seeing Terry Crews
his
with his shirt off.
Like, yeah. And
No, I have. How about the role that he played in with Everybody Hates Chris?
And yep.
I'll give you that.
Oh, yeah, that's
I'll give you that one. He did.
That was a good role.
That's what he need to go back to. He need to go back to sitcom.
He played another movie. Yeah, he played another sitcom too.
Yeah, that 6'9", the 6'9", where he's a cop. It's a comedy. He's a detective.
He was on the Damon Wayans show. Damon Wayans had My Wife and Kids. He was on that.
Yeah,
he was like the super aggressive muscle head.
Yeah. So let's get to the point of why you said are we vibing with him, Black? What's going on?
Yeah, why you not vibing with him? This dude is on this experience today, ain't it?
This dude got to stay off Twitter, man. He just keep talking. He talking about well, y'all heard about the last one. He said about Black Lives Matter. Got to be careful because it could turn into black supremacy. You know what I mean? Whatever. You saw how he did with your girl Gabrielle Union. Yeah. And then he just came out again today and said, not today, but a couple of days ago, it was like, dang, don't let me misquote nobody. Something about, I can't remember right now. I got to look it up. But he said something to the, I think you know what I'm talking about, Spence, because
no, I actually saw the headline, but I didn't read the entire article, so I really needed.
Yeah, he just got to stop tweeting. He just got to stop tweeting, man. He just got to stop tweeting, bro.
But maybe that's his lane. Like when he get on Twitter, he just get to say random stuff.
Okay,
to keep him relevant.
So when people say random stuff about you, like how you a 6'4", 260-pound man gonna lick this little white man, touch on your genitals, and you ain't gonna do nothing about it. I'm just saying.
So he shouldn't feel sensitive, right? If you put it out there. Now, I didn't mean it that way, True.
How many of y'all, we're not talking about little kids. We're talking about grown ass men. How many of y'all gonna let another man, black, white, whatever, run up on you, grab you on your shit?
Yeah, I'm missing that check.
The faces say it all.
I'll pass on that check. I was like, I guess this wasn't supposed to be the role for me because I won't be in Hollywood no more. I'll be calling Tyler Perry. Yo, you got some roles in Atlanta, dog? Because I don't think he'll be working out here much longer.
You know they got a dirtbag, dark-skinned male role for him.
You said Atlanta?
Perry's like, you know they got a role for him. You know what, brother? I got the.
You stupid, Spence. Hey, you stupid though too, Black.
He said, "I'm going to Atlanta."
What did he say?
And he said, "I'm gonna call Tyler Perry and go to Atlanta."
Yeah, you know he got a role for him.
He gave a twofer.
Got to be careful. Yeah, I'm taking it.
All right, so I guess we're shouting out all the black men out there. I guess black women too. Shout out all the black women, especially, except for Stacey Dash.
Because I don't know.
Except for Candace Owens.
You said Niecy Nash?
What
No,
about
Stacey
Oprah then?
Dash. Stacey
He said
Dash.
Stacey Dash. But what about Oprah and
Man, look, I
Merle?
got views on Oprah. I had views on Oprah for years. It's not popular by most. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I
Well,
just
talk
don't.
to me.
Yeah, let me know.
Man, look, y'all trying to get us canceled out here, man.
No, I just want to know. I want
He
to
said
know.
nobody's gonna watch this.
Man, look, man.
Her whole book club going to cancel us.
Y'all mess around. Y'all mess around.
Yeah, all them old white women gonna cancel us. Yeah. Hey, Oprah, man, Oprah cool, man. I'm just saying, Oprah cool.
So would you go to a party?
Like, if I'll just put it like this, y'all had a problem with Michael Jordan. Y'all should have a problem with Oprah.
So it's easy, and it's easy for us to say that from our seats, man, because we haven't really had to blaze those trails. And like I said in the beginning, like none of our hands are pure when it comes to living in this country and having to navigate this country. You know, as much as we like to claim that we're 120% for the community and for the community and by the community, but you know, to trailblaze means you got to do some things that later on people would have the comfort to be able to judge you, but they wouldn't be able to judge you if they were in your seat. You know, Martin had to do some things and did some things that we can sit back now and be like, damn, he shouldn't have done that. You know, or I would have never done that. But
sound like Spence agreeing with Ted Cruz then.
With who? What Ted Cruz say?
I'm not talking about her past action. I'm talking about let's talk about future. Like let's talk about present stuff, man. You know what I mean? So just talk about.
You're talking about like exploiting some of these black men stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and let me stay here. Not saying that they shouldn't be put out there because they need to be put out there. R. Kelly was some trash.
Well, Harvey was some trash too.
There's always some trash. Yeah, Harvey. But that's what I'm saying. We don't hear her speak nothing. You clearly a homie of his. Did you even go to? You probably was on his island a couple of times too. But they ain't gonna talk about that.
Maybe she's an ally with him, so like that's why she didn't speak out on him. Maybe
she part of the group that got him killed. You never know. Too much information out there. She part of that elite. They're gonna shut the computer off. They're gonna shut the computer off at some point because
that last line they gonna be like cancel them.
Speaking of which, I heard some fireworks in my neighborhood yesterday. True.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't even know if I'm even prepared to talk about that on here.
What just happened?
That was a crazy pivot, man.
Oh yeah,
I guess we can go into it.
Like, I mean, I heard other platforms talk about it. You know what I mean?
Okay,
like, something funny about. So have y'all heard fireworks and stuff going off in your neighborhoods and stuff?
I heard some earlier this week, like Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Y'all here. Y'all been, but I've been knowing people like people in New York been talking about like for months. People been firing off fireworks and stuff, and I'm like, where would people get fireworks at in the damn pandemic when ain't nothing open to get fireworks at? So where are these fireworks coming from? You know,
but that's why I hit you because like I know where you live, and I was like, and I hit a few other people, and they was like, no, what you talking about? I was like, yo. Like, try not to get too deep in it, but I was like, yo, this is crazy. It's been going on for like a month.
Are we literally talking about fireworks, or is this a metaphor for something else that I'm missing?
No, actual fireworks.
Actual fireworks.
Oh, okay.
Actual fireworks. And like
this is like, wait a minute.
No, it's actual fireworks, and I think I shared it with Black. Like so you had the non-emergency hotline that you can call, right? Like the junk's not available, like nobody's there to pick it up. So I'm like, how are we supposed to report this? So then, we call 911 and the report. It's like, all right, we'll send somebody out there to check it out. Junk never stopped. I'm like, but it's been going on like, at least 4 weeks easily strong.
I'm trying to understand. So you don't want fireworks to be around the house? What the hell, man? I'm trying to figure out. I mean. What is it, nephew?
I'm trying to figure out.
Get into it.
No, you're trying to make me get into it.
Get into it. Can you send me information? But you're
not
the first person I heard speak on it. Like the first time I heard about it was I was listening to Joe Budden podcast, and he was speaking on it. Like he lives in Jersey, and he's like he can look his views like over the river into New York, and he's like he's seeing like fireworks, and he's like this ain't just some neighborhood fireworks. He's like, so
Yep,
and they've been
same.
shooting them off forever. And he was, and so like I started looking at, my boy sent me something about, he's like, it's a military exercise, and then True Blood sent me something, and I was like, oh, maybe it's really something to this.
Yeah,
So
it is.
They
And
blast off loud sounds, so you used to hear loud sounds, so you don't react to loud sounds when they start happening. So you're just thinking, oh, this is fireworks going on.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm
Y'all
all
digging deep.
transparency.
Yeah, they are
All
going real deep.
transparency.
Yeah.
I might be one of the ones you talk about because that's a part of our family culture. Like we just throw off fireworks at anybody's birthday, and I ain't talking about no little. I'm talking about.
Right,
But you're not doing it every day.
Right, you're not doing it every day though, right? Oh, you want him? You the people y'all come on and knock on your door,
No,
brother.
seriously, you don't know my family, man. My dad. I don't put nobody out there. People in my family.
Right.
We'll edit that.
I know some people that the moment somebody is going down south, they give that person $100 to $200.
Oh yeah.
They bring,
Yeah, I agree.
to bring back
Mhm.
stacks, not me,
Mm-hmm.
of fireworks.
Mhm.
That as soon as you have one cookout or one dinner and you got grandkids around, then that
Shoot 'em
grandfather
all.
just might be a person that's a pyro that saw fireworks all the time.
There's
Yeah,
places
but
up and
see,
down
but see,
the
like
East Coast
like
during the
in
pandemic.
Yeah,
and
down in
But
down
that-
in
but I'm saying that's
more
like
north,
maybe like in the
New York.
suburb parts, but like the urban districts, like that junk ain't allowed. Like that's actually a violation
I
of
know.
the code. So
there's a lot of stuff that's not allowed, but they're
no, but
doing
I'm
it.
saying like it outside of, man, y'all trying to get me to go there. Outside of like what's going on, like any other time, like that would be a called in. It would be taken. It would have been addressed, and
Okay.
those individuals would have received a
true.
citation or something.
Okay.
But like
Now you don't have
man.
that same response.
no,
Okay.
no. So
Right.
I get a little bit, like I was sharing with Blackwell, like when we saw the protest, and I'm saying I'm gonna give a comparison because I think most of us saw it. Like so, you saw people doing the protest, and then you saw the looting, and then like all of a sudden these people started getting these bricks from. So then you start seeing like all these pallets dropped off
Right.
and strategically put in certain places. So, and I'm just saying that kind of just be a little safe with this conversation. But I'm like it's really something going on, and it's crazy because at least within our circle, that I know there's people that's living in this area, just trying to make sure that people stay alert, man, and don't allow it to become a normal thing, and you got some people back in New York, like the New York thing is kind of really out of hand. Like, they even have like the officers now. I had a friend up there send a video, and it was like probably like 30, 40 officers in their cars just riding like through this area, this neighborhood, just with the sirens on, not doing nothing. They're just riding through there, just like, kind of causing this hysteria. And she was like, yeah, they've been like, they had just started doing that maybe 2 weeks ago, and they're doing it like almost every other night. So it's either the fireworks, and now you got the sirens. It's like, yo, this is crazy, man.
So why is that just in your area, dog? They ain't come to Clinton and do that, man.
He said Clinton.
If you watch, y'all come on to Clinton too, man.
I'm starting to hear it in my area, man. So.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean,
I think y'all shovel, man. Y'all can put y'all shovel in the damn in the storage room for a second, man. I get what y'all trying to say. It does sound funny, but I just know that probably for the rest of this week, you probably gonna hear that. You're gonna probably hear.
Yeah, but we ain't talking about this week. We talking about months. We talking about months has been going on.
I'm talking about
especially up north.
Right, at the end of May, the entire month of June. Like, so yeah, we know.
You said it's been going on up north?
Yeah, my mother-in-law, she come like, they shooting at fireworks again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dang, she been talking about that for months. And then I hear other people in New York been talking about like, this has been like mad fireworks is going off. And they like, who's shooting all these fireworks? Like, why do you? And even like in North Carolina, I got a couple people in North Carolina.
Yeah, but see, they can get it. But see, they can get them. That's why, and I think that's what Spence was kind of like indicating. I mean, you can easily get that North Carolina, and South Carolina is the state that you can just go right
They're illegal.
They're legal.
I went to a Walmart. They got a big thing of fire.
And you can scoop a whole flockload of them things up and
like
bring them right back
show,
across the line. Yep.
Yeah, so the fireworks are like, I haven't heard of that. Like I said, I asked my brother. He live in Brooklyn, down the street from the Barclays Center. So I'm gonna see if he's been hearing fireworks.
Yeah.
If y'all know anybody in DC, right? It ain't far. Like,
right.
And depending on what part of DC that they living in, and you get what I'm saying or you don't, like they probably been hearing it too, because we hit some people up in DC and it's like, yo man, this jump been going on for a minute. Like when it started around here, it's like, yeah, I heard people talk about it, and so we kind of reached out to some people, and it's like, yeah,
well, see, y'all got to realize, man, fireworks, and when you say it's been going on for months, we've been having graduations, all different kind of things, and I know Latinos like shooting fireworks for occasions, and people been having to do stuff at their house and celebrate, and it's a big deal. I mean, I'm just trying to say you got to look at the possibilities of why people have been doing it for a while. Graduation ceremonies been going on for at least a month now. People celebrating that, and so I mean, I don't know. I know fireworks is a big thing down south, but I did hear some earlier this week. And that could be a valid point. I just haven't paid attention to it. So I appreciate y'all brothers bringing that to. I'm gonna use it as knowledge because I mean.
Ain't nothing but knowledge. Nothing but knowledge. Definitely appreciate that, fellas.
Yeah.
Keep the eyes and ears open.
But nonetheless, we're gonna pray about it. I ain't concerned. I ain't worried.
You ain't worried, Charlie? You ain't worried, Charlie?
I ain't worried. I ain't worried at all. Nope.
Gotta pray about it.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah, man.
Looking at me, y'all waiting on me to say something. I feel like
we ain't say nothing.
He ain't say nothing.
I looked at my shoes so to make sure I don't, say something.
Just looked away.
Oh man, y'all funny.
Y'all won't pulling me into that again. Yeah.
Oh,
so, I mean,
I think
sensory stimulation is definitely something that I think is real, and something that is done on the low. And I think a lot of things are done on the low to kind of get us in a different idea or mind frame or get used to certain things. So, I think it's definitely value to that. You don't know the entire plan. And that's why you always got to invest in yourself and continue learning and growing so you can have that confidence. Like Big Unc said is, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, right?
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
More than a conqueror.
Sound verse.
That's right.
More than a conqueror. I hear you, Spunks.
Hey, has anybody that got shot by a gun and killed ever think on that in hindsight? Just wondering.
What's that?
Wait, what?
We say no weapon against me shall prosper. Somebody ever got shot by a gun? You ever think they laying in hindsight?
You're thinking literally.
Yeah,
No.
I'm just making jokes. Yo.
If you shoot me and kill me, you still my son, my mentees, my brother's gonna still carry on my mission.
It keeps it on, keeps it going.
That just because I'm not here in the physical doesn't mean I'm not impacted in the spiritual, in the universal. And so that's one thing that we always talk about in the beginning is what's going to be our ultimate sacrifice. And I think people think that death is that ultimate sacrifice, and we got to stop being afraid of death, especially when we preach about heaven so much. Everybody want to go to heaven, but don't nobody want to die. So if you are building a family and a network and you're spreading your energy, you'll never die because it always continues, and that's the fear. And that's why they always got to pit us against each other so we can continue, they can stop the legacy of the energy spreading. And so no, you can shoot me with a gun. My son is going to pick up my work and keep going. And my mentee's going to pick it up. And my brother's going to pick it up. My wife's going to keep it going. So that's when you know
So
that
you covered. You got that blessed insurance, huh?
Hey.
I ain't trying to go
I ain't gonna
nowhere.
get you started. That's a whole other conversation.
Exactly.
Right. You ain't rushing.
Started, man.
I ain't
guess
trying
I
to
need to
go
go
nowhere,
have some kids then.
but I think they use
Right.
huh?
Guess
No, I
I need to go have
told
some
Black said you
kids
gotta
then.
get some kids. Hey, but listen, you listen. Hey, listen, you.
brothers.
Black's
Hey, Black,
crazy.
you already listened to Allegory, so you should already know, right? That's
You got
a
brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, you got a brother, man.
You gotta
Ain't
have
about
that
the kids,
lineage.
you got brothers. Like if anything happened to you, we picking it up and moving with it because
Yeah.
it's connected like that. You know, so
Oh no, I
think-
might have to drop off the John Wall for Black though. I don't think I'm gonna carry that legacy that he's. I love and support the guy for Wall.
Because that is what come with me. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go. Gotta rep.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's where I think they build fear into the whole, as a machine, in order to keep people subjugated and keep people from questioning and sacrificing, and it's just not working anymore. I think even those who still don't have a whole level of consciousness, like some of us sheikhs who we think we are and pharaohs think we are, they're still like, hey. You see now communities are now starting to check on their communities. Like that, something that happened about that was using maybe some law enforcement were using a house as a method of using girls for some sort of sex trafficking. I'm paraphrasing it somewhere out in the Midwest, and the community came out and rushed, and I heard they were trying to pull people out there undercover and things like that, not be transparent. Communities now are saying, you know, enough is enough, you know, and so. It is what it is. I just don't think at this point guns and violence is going to move a whole lot of people. Well, I think it's going to move a whole lot of people, but I think now people are starting to shift and change and say, well, look, I'm going to die from a damn pandemic anyhow. I might well die fighting for some rights or fighting for my people to be treated fairly or just to live like everybody else. So I'm going to get off my bandwagon. I'm done now.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. The knowledge, appreciate the knowledge, man.
Oh,
Hey,
they take it the wrong way, dog. They
it's just the way that you said it, man. It's just the way you said it, man.
I know.
That's the way you said it.
Yeah, I meant to do it like that. I meant for you, yeah.
That's like when he's kicking him out the house. He's like, all right, yeah.
No,
I'm good.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you got to work tomorrow? I don't want you to be late.
Right.
Nah, I don't have no extra toothbrush over here now.
Oh,
yeah,
my God.
Yeah.
Woo.
The ride back to your house ain't that long, dog.
Right. You need gas money?
Yeah. That was silly, man.
All right, Joe, what y'all think? You think we touched on everything today?
Oh, yeah. I think we had a great
I think so.
Hour 24 in. That ain't seem like that long. Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jay Flame, man. Wait for the brother to get back strong. He not feeling it.
Yeah, he don't have the Rona. Just get everybody. He good on the Rona front. Yeah, he should be back next week, hopefully. Go check for his albums coming out. I'm bad, I forgot the name, but yeah, he got an album. He got
something in Leather Seats.
Nah, that's the last album. That's the last Leather Seats.
Yeah, Silk Seats and Leather Sheets.
But yeah, thank y'all for tuning in.
Dang. Must be your brother's keeper.
Everybody, I can't remember stuff, man. There's so much stuff out here, man. Everybody got anything they want to shout out, man? Anybody want to shout out before we leave? No? No? Okay, right on. Shout out to everybody who's been checking us out. Shout out to whoever's in France checking us out.
That's a big ups.
We getting global out here. I got to plug the socials. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Brothas Podcast 1. Check out our YouTube page at the Brothers Podcast. We load up videos there every Sunday. So y'all go check them out. Or go check out old videos y'all haven't seen. Yeah, fellas, man. It's been good talking to y'all, man.
Likewise.
Always, man.
Everybody
see y'all
stay
safe,
good, man.
I'm growing the hair out, True Blood. I'm catching you, man.
Right, man.
I might lock them back up, bro. I'm thinking on it.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? You gonna lock yours back up?
Oh yeah, that was already part of the journey.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we
yes,
just
sir.
had to.
Yes, sir.
Tyler, you can lock yours back up.
I'm gonna try to, man. Maybe in my next lifetime.
What's that behind you, man? You run a kennel or something?
He got me.
That was a good one.
I thought it was Italian dog
That's
form
fire.
like that.
That's fire.
You better recognize.
He about to throw some
Look,
music on
he
now.
trying to throw it on. All right, we about to get up out of here.
Jumping
He about to
around, right?
get it right up in there.
You know, he about to get.
That's a
He about to get it
flashback.
right in there.
Right.
All right, y'all, man. Everybody be safe
Hey,
out
y'all
there,
be good, man.
Have a good
Peace,
night.
fellas. Peace.
Y'all be
Peace.
good.